our guest Anna. I have a question for you. Do you think the government is doing something useful?
Well, I depends on what are you referring to, but in terms of coronavirus, is doing a little bit bad. Bad.
And for example, in other terms, what do you think is normal? For example, you think that in coronavirus they are doing bad, but in other things like economics, what do you think of?
Well, right now the economic situation is really bad.
Okay, that's an interesting topic. So about this, I've read on newspaper this news where it says that the government, the Vice President Pablo Iglesias and his friend Fernando Monedero, has earned $7.1 million from the Chavez regime. So what do you think about it? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's not true? Do you think it can be possible? Monica Rondon, what do you think about this news that I read? So,
Sorry, I'm just interpreting this. We say, just because it's my job, we say story. So we say the news, and it's singular. The news is that, but when we're dealing with one particular piece of news, we say story or piece of news. So plural, news, singular, story. So about that story, did you understand what the story was about?
So, I've read this story in which they say that Juan Carlos Monedero and Pablo Iglesias earned $7.1 million from Hugo Chávez. What do you think about this? Do you think it's true? It's not? Do you think it can be possible? Do you think it can happen?
I think that it's possible because when we are talking about the government nowadays, I think everything is possible, but I don't think it's a good thing.
Okay, so some of the people who wrote this article say that this was some donation to take the revolution to Spain. Imagine this. What do you think, Marta Bermejo, about this? Do you think the revolution of Venezuela should be brought to Spain?
No.
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 Okay. So we've all seen how is the way that the government controls what they want, but this is not something of nowadays. We all know that we are controlled all the time by the government, but what do you think, for example, Ana Romano, are you there?
Yes, Jose.
Okay, so the government has approved this law in which they can censor certain types of hate speeches in the social media. What do you think about this? Do you think it's good because it makes the social media less toxic, or do you think that it takes out the freedom of speech?
I think in social media, people should be allowed to say whatever they want, but I think there is a limit in terms of hate comments. So I don't think they should allow for hate comments in social media, but I do agree with the freedom of speech.
Okay, so now about this thing, I wanted to ask to Diego Juarez. Okay, so what do you think we should manage, like the hate speech things in social media? Do you think that the social media should control the hate speech and the toxic communities, or do you think that the government of each country should control the social media?
I think that each social media needs to control its hate.
So that's
That-
a good one, actually. That's a good one. So about keeping talking a little bit about the government, because we are talking about that, about politics. So I was thinking, what have you read about the government? What did they make with their salaries?
I read that Pedro Sanchez, for example, is going to win more money, like 84,845 euros a the year, and that is a relevant.
Amount of money.
Yes.
So, Daniel Rickman, what do you think about this? Do you really think that they should earn that money? Do you think that they should earn less?
I think in this situation, this money it can be used in another
Things.
thing.
Okay. That's an interesting thing. So, we all know that our government, and this has been like that since some years, Spain has the highest level of deputies. He has more deputies than doctors and firemen and police. So, for example, Marcos Poca, what do you think? Do you think that we should invest our public money in the government, in politics, or more in public health and those?
So I want to use this question to talk about how our government should be centralized, so we can have less politics and we can have more money to use.
Fewer politics. we
Fewer
say.
politics, and we can have more money.
And I think you mean fewer politicians, as in people who were fewer
Fewer
politicians.
politicians, so we have more money to use or invest in other parts. And so yes, I think we should reduce the number of politicians.
Good. Senators, I think you said, or deputies.
Mm-hmm.
In England, we say MPs, which is member of parliaments. So MPs, an MB, the letters MB stands for what we call in Spanish. I think we call them deputies. Yes.
Continuing with our topics. I've read, I don't know, did you read about this? I was thinking about PSOE and Podemos wanting to, instead of having separated powers, the judicial, executive, and the legislative, they wanted to join the judicial with the government. So this means actually that the judicial power is controlled by the government. So, Sergio Graciano, what do you think this should be like? Because let me tell you, the European Union has stopped this measure, okay? They said you cannot make this. But what do you think? Do you think that it should be done? Do you think that it's like good, separated?
I think it's not good separate this, and I in favor with the European Union.
Okay, that's an interesting opinion. So now we're going to the break. We'll be back in some minutes with the Ballet FM News.
Are you tired of watching Netflix alone? Did you cry watching The Kissing Booth? Do you want a Marco Diaz or Adriana Agresti in your life? Do you spend more time in the friend zone than in your own home? Then download Salupa, a dating app for El Valle students. With this app, you will find your own Noah Flynn. Salupa, the best choice for your lonely life. Do you hate shopping and having to buy many different colored t-shirts? Because here we bring you a color 10 t-shirt for every day. Are you tired of your backpack of always? Here you have a purchase for a brand new backpack every day.
Have you ever dreamed of being able to know what someone is thinking? Imagine knowing everything that people think of you without them really knowing that you read their thoughts. Here at Valley FM, we bring you an app called Did You Know That? Download it now.
If you're still connected listening to Valley FM, you're in luck because you could participate in a great draw to win a trip to Maldives. Yes, you heard correctly. This may be your summer.
Enjoying a trip to the Maldives with the companion of your choice. It could be your brother, your sister, your partner, or your best friend. Anyway, it would be great. You can do many activities, visit unforgettable places, and relax in the island.
Valley FM. It's not the Valley of the Fallen, it's the Valley of the Rockers.
We have the alternative for your bad days. If you come to see us in the playground, we will have ballots available for all of you. You will get them for €2.
Are you struggling to pass that stupid subject? Do you need some help with the next exam?
We have the best cheat notes of Fantinaro. We cover everything from ACE exams to bachiller exams.
Buy 2 and receive a free German cheat note. Brutal cheat notes. Simply brutal.
Welcome again to the Valley FM. Now we are talking about another topic that I see in the news this morning. Some people are ban public material in the streets. So because they are in protest of the government measure. What do you think about that? Marta Pascual.
So, Marta, are you there?
Marta? Well, Danny Bolufer.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
About the protests that are occurring right now in Spain.
Yes.
I think that protests should be allowed because the government right now is doing really bad. But making violent protests, it's never a good idea.
So there's been like this mix of news because I don't know if this happened to you, but I was watching news and for example the government said that the people who was in the streets was a group of extreme right and Vox said that it was a group of extreme left, but the deputy of Pepe said that these people was not didn't support any ideology. But what do you think? For example, Marcos Boca again. So what do you think about this? Do you really believe that they support a specific ideology?
Well, until they do not talk about that, we don't know they should. So, first of all, we should not introduce them into our group, but we must talk about what they have done and the things they destroy and other things. So it doesn't matter where do you belong with to or what do you support, but the thing what you are doing and you are burning.
So that's an interesting point. Also, there's been some people. It's starting to say they justify this violence by saying that you have a limit where you can press a person, and they say that the people is waking up. There's this slogan, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called Spain Wake Up. So, do you think Alberto Morales, that in part they do have right to do that, or that they lose all right when they start with the violence?
Yes, the violence is not a solution. and it's bad for all.
So that was the opinion of Alberto Morales over here, our guest. Now, Nacho, do you know about what we talked later, this confrontation in which they are trying to say that they are extreme right, extreme left? Do you think that everything is politicized? Do you know, like everything's politicized? Do you think that no, that it was just in this occasion? What do you think about that?
I think that no. I think that they protest because they think that the things that they are doing the police are not doing.
And what about you, Marta? Do you think that like they should politicize everything? Because
No.
it's kind of a war, you know, it's kind of a stupid war in which they're trying to say you are the bad ones, you are
I
the
think the
good ones.
same that that's
Uh-huh.
I think that they protest because they don't like the situation in Spain with the protest.
Curfew. There's a word in English for that. Curfew. Curfew, yes.
So what you're saying is that you don't believe that there is politics involved in there.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So there's been actually, I don't know, Agus, did you saw this one? There have been finding some similarities with the movement Black Lives Matter. Not really with the movement in the moment because they want totally different things, but with the way of doing it, really. And this is very curious because some people were still supporting the people who was burning and breaking the public places just because it was Black Lives Matter. So what do you think about this? Do you think we should give a preference to these things? Ana Romano, do you want me to ask you the question again?
Can you repeat the question, please,
So
Jose?
yeah, this is our last question, Ana. So it's basically, do you see any similarities with other movements? Like, for example, in Black Lives Matter, they really were some aggressive movements. Do you see any similarities with other ones?
I mean, it also reminds me of the movement that was when Catalonia declared its independence. It reminds me a lot of the protests and riots that they did there, like burning the containers in the public streets and just breaking stuff. I think it reminds me a lot of that. Also reminds me of the protests that happened in Hong Kong against the government, in which again they were also breaking stuff and burning things on the street.
Okay, that's actually true. That's what they were doing. It's actually true. It's very similar. So
thank you very much all the people that they see to us. I hope you enjoyed the program. So we see you the next day.
Tired of leaving school and having to take the bus?
Just for you, my heart will be strong, forever strong. If yours is true, surrendering is not a is not a way. You have to fight until the end. Until